I still believe in the M1 iPad Pro, but unfortunately Apple doesn't. What's going on YouTube? Today was a extremely disappointing and sad day as we had WWDC release pretty much nothing in terms of hardware, and what they did show in software was nothing special. Now, this was probably one of the most hyped up WWDC events, but unfortunately at the end of it, I returned my M1 iPad Pro just about 40 minutes ago, and I replaced it with this. In fact, the video that you're watching right now was edited on it. So we're going to talk about what I got and why. But before we get started, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show. Okay, so first of all, why? A lot of people were saying, Chris, why not just be more patient? You don't know what could come out at the end of WWDC, and you could possibly be eating your words come fall. Maybe Apple had to tweak some things or put some finishing touches on things like Final Cut and Logic Pro in order to be ready for this fall. I hope that I eat my words. I love the M1 iPad Pro. I love what it offers in terms of power, but if you've got a Mustang or a Ferrari in the garage that you never drive, all that power really means nothing. So I replaced it. I went to the Apple Store and returned my M1 iPad Pro, and the problem is, and the reason why I did it, is because I was 2 days past their return policy date. You've got 2 weeks to return it, and I think it was about 16 days ago that the M1 iPad Pro showed up on my doorstep on Friday, the 21st of May. So it was my personal choice to return it before I was too far out of the return window and would then have to sell it on a third party like eBay or something. And what this does is it extends my return period for another 2 weeks. So if something drastically happens at WWDC, which guys, I honestly do not think is going to happen, but honestly, what does it matter what we think anymore? Because we were supposed to get iMacs, a Super Mac Mini, 14 and 16 inch MacBook Pros, you name it. None of that came. So I'm not going to waste your time anymore. I just wanted to explain why I got what I got. And now I'm going to show you what I got. So this is a 512 gigabyte, 13 inch MacBook Air. And I'm just unboxing this as I kind of decompress and talk about WWDC because you guys have seen a MacBook Air unboxing before. Nothing has changed. This is the M1 chip. I was sure to get the 8-core GPU because even though they say in practice it's no different, I like to know that on paper I have the exact same power that I did with my iPad. So here we have it, the MacBook Air. Now this is the first time I've owned a MacBook Air. I've had Mac Minis and MacBook Pros, but not the Air, and I'm glad that I was able to get in on the wedge-shaped design, as a lot of rumors for the M2 MacBook Air coming next year are supposed to not have that. So I do enjoy this, but it will end up looking dated in a bit. So inside we get some information as well as a power brick. This seems to be covered in paper and not plastic. And then here we have our USB-C cable. It almost smells like glue. So let's put that to the side and let's take a look at the M1 MacBook Air. I was not going to do that or my hand would have been full of splinters. So we know the deal. But yeah, so obviously I know a lot of people are reacting a lot of different ways because I had such a visceral reaction to WWDC. But when you have such a hyped event and it turns out to be literally nothing like you thought, it's just disappointing. And so a lot of my thoughts in my initial reaction, a lot of my thoughts in my initial reaction were just that. It was an initial reaction. Now, of course, gone is Face ID. I'll be using Touch ID, but that's okay. You know, in a laptop form, I think I would have rathered Face ID, but they don't currently have any offerings with any Mac with Face ID. Now, quickly, before we wrap, I want to talk about the iMac. Because I was very tempted to go ahead and purchase an iMac. But what it ultimately came down to was mobility. I think if I didn't need mobility, I probably would have gone with the iMac and paired it with the 32-inch LG 4K, and it would have been 8.5K of glorious screen. But I needed the mobility. So yeah, guys, I would advise you, if you're on the fence about returning your M1 iPad Pro, do it today or tomorrow at the latest, as many people who got theirs on Friday are already late for the return window of getting their full refund. And that's a whole mess if you have to do it, sell it third party and stuff like that. So that's what I replaced it with, a 13-inch MacBook Air, 512 gigabytes, 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU. And I'm going to obviously document my experience with this. Of course, this is Mac. This is nothing too exciting. It's not revolutionary. It's nothing like what I wanted to be doing today. I wanted to be covering all the latest and greatest news with the iPad with WWDC, but unfortunately, it's just not what we're gonna get. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. Still holding out for video games. Those should be really fun on macOS and iOS in the future. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show.